I think, again, all roads lead to Bitcoin. And it sounds cheesy, but it's true. Even if Bitcoin is going down and it's going to be a bear market, it doesn't matter because long term, it's going to outperform everything. We're going to see a few God candles come. We're going to jump back up to 100K. And a lot of people will be like, okay, I'm going to get out now before the bear market hits because they believe in the 4-year cycle or they believe the bear is saying it's going to crash. And then once they exit, then it's going to just run up like gold did or like silver did, at least double or triple. And then they're going to regret it and they're going to buy back in. And gold will always be produced. There is more gold that will be dug up if the market price warrants more gold being dug up, right? And you have no idea how much gold there is. So they're both defective in terms of Bitcoin. This is why Bitcoin is the apex predator of hard assets. So it's going to react eventually. The question is when. If you're a disbeliever in Bitcoin, why wouldn't you just wait and set a limit order or tell your broker, I want to sell at 87? Why do you need to dump it and, sell it for cheaper? Like, don't you, if you want the fiat, don't you want more of the fiat?
Mow frames the rise of gold and silver as an early warning system rather than an end destination. When societies become uneasy, when geopolitical risks rise, and when trust in fiat systems weakens, people instinctively reach for what they believe to be sound money. Precious metals have historically filled that role, and today is no different. Before we go on, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more content like this. Every action helps with the YouTube algorithm and greatly supports the channel's growth. Thanks for your support and enjoy the video.
Every few days, it seems like something is happening. And, what's the saying? Like, sometimes decades happen in months and months happen in decades or whatever. But that's exactly what it feels like now. Like we're getting decades of things happening in like a few months. Decades in years, I think, as the saying goes. But yeah, the world is very tumultuous right now. And people are worried about a multitude of things. Like it feels like everything is breaking down. And I think the rise of precious metals is the best indicator of that. Of course, they've cooled off now, but you have to look at the high-level picture, which is people are fleeing to what they perceive to be hard assets, reliable, hard, sound assets. Now, do they have the understanding that you or I have about Bitcoin? Maybe not, but they will learn. And I think it's just cyclical. It's the concept of eternal September, where you have the new crop of students and they have to learn everything again. So all the metal investors are going to learn, guess what? Metals are not that great, actually. And maybe there's something else. And maybe that something else is Bitcoin. Because I don't know if you saw, but in China, there was a gold trading platform that just blew up, like multi-billion-dollar loss. And they just froze everyone out because they didn't have the gold that the people were trading. And they said something like, we'll reimburse you 20%. And I think that definitely has an impact on what happened with the metals. But this is just the problem with precious metals. You cannot trade in size at spot markets, right? Even if you can trade at spot markets, you're taking a discount. Like I know a lot of Bitcoiners that came into Bitcoin through the precious metal journey. And what they learned was when they buy, it's easy to buy. You can even buy at Costco. When you want to sell, you're going to have a hard time finding someone to take your shipment, and you're going to take a discount on spot price to sell it back to them. And they're just going to have to learn this again. Like, why is Bitcoin the apex predator? It's because it is so liquid in every market. And it's not an exaggeration. You can sell it at any time. And that's what we see. People are using Bitcoin as that dumping ground for their fears. Geopolitical uncertainty, fear of war, fear of pullbacks in their favorite stock market, like AI or whatever, or even precious metals. It is because Bitcoin is so liquid and so easy to use that it is the dumping ground for a lot of these guys when they have any fear. But going back to your original question, like the metals are the indicator that something is happening. And if you look at that chart of the German mark against gold when it was collapsing, it's like going like this, right? That's basically what we're seeing right now. The massive run up in metals and back down. And eventually this will bleed into Bitcoin, in which I call is the great rotation. As those people start understanding that what they want is actually Bitcoin, what they're seeking as a safe haven is Bitcoin. But that is going to take a bit of time, but it will come. And there's a massive amount of capital. Like you saw gold double its market cap. You know, it went from 20 to 40. Silver went 3.4 times, right? So there is enough money floating out there. It's not that there's not enough paper fiat money out there. There is plenty of fiat paper money out there. And that will make its way to Bitcoin. I think, again, all roads lead to Bitcoin. And it sounds cheesy, but it's true. Like I have a friend who came into some fiat money and we were talking about it. And he's like, well, what if Bitcoin goes lower? I'm like, I don't think it'll go lower, but it can always go lower. But even if it does go lower, what would you rather? You know what Bitcoin is. He's a Bitcoiner. Like, where else would you put your money? And you have to just reason through it. Like, he can buy gold, he could buy silver, he could buy real estate, he could, keep it in dollars, he could buy bonds. But realistically, he knows none of that stuff is going to perform. Even if Bitcoin is going down and it's going to be a bear market, it doesn't matter because long term, it's going to outperform everything. We're going to see a few God candles come. We're going to jump back up to 100K. And a lot of people will be like, okay, I'm going to get out now before the bear market hits because they believe in the 4-year cycle or they believe the bear is saying it's going to crash. And then once they exit, then it's going to just run up like gold did or like silver did, at least double or triple. And then they're going to regret it and they're going to buy back in.
Mow argues that what we are witnessing now is the early stage of a much larger capital rotation. Precious metals are the first stop. Bitcoin is the destination. The scale of capital already in motion is staggering. Gold's market capitalization doubled from roughly $20 trillion to $40 trillion. Silver increased more than threefold. This is not a world starved for capital. There is no shortage of fiat liquidity searching for refuge.
I think this is already very low. Like, in my view, is unbelievable. That's like dropping to 15K. Because a lot of the TA guys, or even the people that believe in the 4-year cycle, it's like they just have this belief in their head without any substantiation to it. Like, the market structure of Bitcoin is fundamentally, markedly different today than 4 years ago and the 4-year period before that. But even that aside, like, just because you toss a coin 4 times, and I keep repeating this, and you hit heads, heads, tails, heads, it doesn't mean you're going to keep getting that sequence forever. That's not how math works. That's not how probability works. So, it's like that, throw that away. But fundamentally, the market structure of Bitcoin today is completely evolved massively from the last 4-year period, right? And I don't even think it's the 4-year periods. It was just the business cycle and amounts of money flowing in that drove Bitcoin in those cycles. But right now, today, you have institutional buyers of Bitcoin and you have treasury companies. You have BlackRock, which is the largest asset manager on the planet, pushing their Bitcoin ETF, which is their fastest growing, most profitable, and likely biggest driver of their revenues for the next 100 years in the game. And then you have all the treasury companies. You have Strategy. They will buy at any price. And they will do that because they have their preferreds that they can use to raise capital non-dilutively to buy forever. And that's what I call the infinite bid. It's just going to buy Bitcoin forever at any price. Then you have Metaplanet, you have Strive with these are all companies that are structuring these preferreds. And guess what? There are more coming. Then you have BSTR from Atom. Then you have XXI from Tether and Jack. Like, it's not going to stop. And even if there's that joke like Saylor will buy and then we'll dip the next day. How many days in the week are there, right? Like, eventually, there's not enough time for it to dip before the next treasury company executes their big purchase from their preferreds, right? And if you think about it too, like, what would drive us lower? If you look at the past days, I think the first day, Saturday, was a mass liquidation of an Ethereum trader, like a big Ethereum trader. He blew himself up and lost $250 million, and that tanked us. And then us dragged down by the precious metals and fears in Korea. Like you said, there's so many things happening so quickly. But like that is it. Like this is forced selling. If you don't need to force sell, like let's say you're a holder of ETF, even if you're a retail holder of an ETF, and you don't need to force sell, and you've written Bitcoin off, you think, okay, I'm going to go and buy real estate, whatever you want, right? You should set a limit order or tell your broker, I want to sell at 87 because I know Saylor will buy at 87 eventually. Why would you keep selling down? And the fact is, we've been sideways, in my view, for a year, and we've had 4 clear red months. So Bitcoin has been battered. And I don't think people realize how battered we've been. Like, Bitcoin is overdue for a big move up. Even if it's just to reclaim previous ATHs, all-time highs, it is overdue for that. Because we've taken every single beating. As the metals went up, we went sideways and then down. But you know, the stock markets, traditional tech stocks have had a run. Everything has had a run except for Bitcoin. So I see this for value investors. They have to identify that the opportunity is here. You can invest in gold again, but what if that is the top for gold? You can invest in silver, but what if silver did top already, right? Bitcoin definitely has not topped. And all you need is $1 trillion of the however many 20 odd $30 trillion that came into the market for precious metals to move into Bitcoin, to rotate to Bitcoin. And you're going to blow off the last all-time high easily because you have also the treasury companies investing as well. I wouldn't say David Sachs is doing anything like that, but there are definitely players that are trying to push the price down. Like you can see it. It's very plain, like the 10 a.m. dump. When the market's open, it dumps. And I did a 10 a.m. dump on a Saturday. Like these dumps don't happen organically. Every fiduciary or every investor that is looking out for their best interest should not be market dumping, right? Like you want to maximize your return by selling at a good price without massive slippage. So there's only 3 groups out there that would want to dump it. Like either you're someone trying to suppress the price for some reason, and you're going to dump with, I would say, I don't even know if it's like traditional paper Bitcoin, like derivatives. I think it might be more malevolent, like FTX style. Some exchange doesn't have the coins and they're selling them, that style, because it's too easy to track normal paper Bitcoin. It's like the fraudulent paper Bitcoin. The second group is like people that want to push the market down because they're hedged. Like they're a trading firm and they hedged already and they want to tank Bitcoin. So they're going to dump it and try to recover. And the third group is just traders that blow themselves up. So these are the only ones that really want Bitcoin to go down. They want to see those big red drops and instill fear in the market. But I think there is a heavy cost to that. Each one of those silos comes with a heavy cost. Obviously, the trader that blew up, that's a heavy cost on them. Yep. But the firms that the trading firms that are trying to do this, there is a risk that it doesn't work and they're going to be sidelined because the Bitcoin bounces aggressively on the upside. And then the people that are doing it with Bitcoin that doesn't exist, obviously that's going to come to roost when there's a run on that exchange or whoever that they need to produce the coins. And that's going to send Bitcoin going back up too. So it's like, not sustainable, this kind of overall suppression of the market. And fear, I don't think, is enough to push us down. Like, we've seen selling. There's like, I don't fully believe in on-chain metrics, but there are some on-chain metrics of some people sell. And there's public disclosures of whale selling too. And you have to think adversarially. You cannot take it as face value. So maybe that whale that said, I'm selling or sold, and he made it very visible, was trying to trigger a down run that he can buy back up lower, right? Because a lot of these guys are traders too. Maybe not like the guy that blew himself up on the weekend with Ethereum, but they are types of traders. But still, like, that cannot happen forever because there is the buyer of last resort, there's a hodler of last resort, and there are the infinite bid treasury companies. So it has to stop eventually. the ultimate scarcity of Bitcoin, and more importantly, the verifiable scarcity of Bitcoin, is what is going to drive the price up. Silver, you don't know how much there will be, how much there is, how much is real. Silver is also a byproduct of industrial process. So you're just going to have silver popping up. Gold, it can be manufactured in fusion reactors now. They found it accidentally. They made gold by accident. And, and gold will always be produced. There is more gold that will be dug up if the market price warrants more gold being dug up, right? And you have no idea how much gold there is. So they're both defective in terms of Bitcoin. This is why Bitcoin is the apex predator of hard assets. So it's going to react eventually. The question is when. And at times like this, when people are fearful, it's difficult to see the end of the road. But we all know that Bitcoin will go up. It's just a question of when. There is no price model that predicts Bitcoin declining over time. If you look at any of the price models, Bitcoin 24 from Saylor, Plan B, stock to flow, and the power law, blah, blah, blah. Every single model predicts Bitcoin going up because it is a scarce, hard asset. And you have this new cohort of people that will bid forever and pay any price, right? Like Saylor disclosed today that they bought their last chunk at 87K. Now, if you're a disbeliever in Bitcoin, why wouldn't you just wait and set a limit order or tell your broker, I want to sell at 87? Why do you need to dump it and, sell it for cheaper? Like, don't you, if you want the fiat, don't you want more of the fiat, right? Like, and there is a buyer. You don't need to dump it right now on the market and get less fiat if you want more fiat. It's just forced sellers right now pushing the market down. But any rational seller that does not have to sell immediately will get a bigger return in fiat terms if they don't panic sell.
Samson Mow's message is not about timing the market. It is about understanding the direction of history. Capital moves from fragile systems toward durable ones, from opaque supply toward verifiable scarcity, from intermediated trust toward cryptographic certainty. Fear may dominate the present, noise may obscure the signal, but Bitcoin's role is becoming clearer with every cycle, not weaker.